Now.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Hardware Podcast. I'm here with my good friend Omar Borja after a very long vacation, well deserved by him, that the Army gave him. And now they're giving him the top secret missions of mowing lawns as a new butter bar. So, as I just got off a week-long vacation too, so I'm back here in Texas, and yeah, looking forward to some college football. We've got some NFL preseason heating up this weekend, and then that'll transition pretty quickly to college football when it kicks off.
Yeah, pretty excited for week 0. Got some really big games, some hard-hitting games week 0. I'm not talking about Nebraska, Illinois. I'm talking about MEAC SWAC Challenge in Atlanta. You got Alcorn State against NC Central. Very good game with the Braves have won the SWAC like the past million years, it seems. Hawaii, UCLA, which we'll talk about Hawaii later on in our podcast topic. But yeah, just so many great games. And then of course, blockbuster week 1, a game that Jackson doesn't think is that big of a game in Clemson, Georgia, but I beg to differ.
Well, I didn't say it wasn't important. I'm just saying that one of these teams has won multiple national championships in the past few years, and the other hasn't won since 1980.
Oh, come on. Give it a rest. Give the 1980 joke a rest, Jackson. Come on.
Man, you literally said, "Hey, Jackson, I'm gonna guide you to this joke, and I'm gonna shove you into it too." Set me up, so that's on you, man.
No, I just said you didn't think the game was that big. You brought up 1980.
Yeah. Okay, well, you're not wrong, but yeah, Clemson's gonna win that in a landslide. I also don't get the hype between Miami and Alabama. Like Miami is just a state of the program is not great right now, and Alabama has never been higher. And yeah, I don't get it at all.
Well, Derek King.
I almost started to go on a tangent with Florida State. I'm not even going to start there. I think in our Twitter DMs, we've already talked enough about FSU. But yeah, they're going to be a mess this year. Yeah, so this is going to be, in effect, our Heisman preview. Obviously, on the Hardware Podcast, where we go off on some tangents, but we like to stick mostly as much as we can to a college football awards. And so, yeah, we're just going to go over some of the Heisman guys. I mean, you can find Google page after Google page after Google page on some of the big names for this Heisman. So we're going to skim over some of the front runners, like the guy from Clemson that Omar can pronounce flawlessly, and Bryce Young, the guys like that. But then we'll get into some of the more group of 5 guys that, even if they don't win the Heisman, even if they're not on the watch list, you should keep an eye on them this year because they deserve some respect, even though they're not in the Power 5 conference that ESPN loves to use their marketing powers for. So, yeah. Omar, up to you. What do you want to start off on this?
I'll just start off by pronouncing DJ Uyagalule. And then I'll let you take care of who you have, like, I guess your rankings. I mean, I guess who's your number one guy? Like, who do you think is the number one front runner? Because a lot of the offseason buzz has been Rattler versus Howell, I think.
Yeah.
And you can go, I think, either or with either of those guys.
Rattler is Spencer Rattler is it's a love fest with the media with him right now, especially coming off of that Cotton Bowl win where the other team didn't have hardly any of their starters. But Spencer Rattler, I mean, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, and then now this is presumed to be the heir to all of that. I think he's fun to watch. I mean, from an NFL perspective, I don't know. A lot of his plays are kind of off the cuff. Doesn't always not always planned. He's best when he's like throwing on the run. It doesn't go as planned, but you can make arguments for guys like that, like Russell Wilson, stuff like that. But man, he's electric. He's fun to watch. So I think that it certainly doesn't hurt that the media seems to really like him a lot in the preseason, especially since the media is the one that votes on this. So Man, I love Spencer Rattler as a Heisman favorite. I would put DJ Uian Galilei, if I'm saying that right, and Bryce Young, kind of in the same boat. Both from guys that are coming from historic programs, especially in the past decade. DJ has huge shoes to fill with Trevor Lawrence just getting picked number one overall. Before that, I can't remember. Was there a gap between Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence? It wasn't a
Yeah,
lot.
Kelly Bryant. Kelly Bryant.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm not sure how long he started for Clemson, but yeah, he's coming from, I mean, he's coming from a list of Deshaun Watson, Kelly Bryant, Trevor Lawrence. Those are big shoes to fill. But DJ, from everything we've seen, seems like he can fill them. Bryce Young, if you haven't heard of Bryce Young, you might know him as the Alabama quarterback who's approaching seven figures from all these NIL deals. I mean, he's like Alabama fans, a lot of them seem to have deep pockets at least, and he is like all the hype is there. Not to mention, oh yeah, he was like the All-American Bowl Player of the Year, the Gatorade Player of the Year, High School Quarterback of the Year, Maxwell Offensive Player of the Year, Max Preps Player of the Year. Like, I mean, just raked in awards during high school. So of course he went to Alabama. And he's drawn a lot of dual threat comparisons. Gosh, I'm blanking on the name of who a lot of people are comparing him to. But I'd put DJ and Bryce Young in the same boat. So once we get through Rattler, Bryce Young, and DJ, then it kind of, I think, in my opinion, as far as likelihood of winning the Heisman, takes a step down. Sam Howell, I think, is a guy that he's in NFL circles drawing a lot of Baker Mayfield comparisons, although Mayfield probably was a little bit more polished at this time in his career. Then you've got Emory Jones, dual threat quarterback from Florida. I think he's in that boat too. And then that's really, I mean, you've heard some names like JT Daniels, some guys like who's the guy from Texas? Casey Thompson. You hear some other names like that. I think those are really going to be the five guys from the Power Five that have the highest likelihood, at least right now. And then we get into the group of five, and Omar, we're both well aware that the group of five hasn't had the best performance. Or no, excuse me, they have had very good performances. The media doesn't always recognize that and vote for them. Jordan Lynch was the last player to finish in the top three, I believe, or top four in 2013. He was the last group of five player. And then Marshall Faulk was the last runner-up running back in 1992. So they don't always recognize it, but like I said earlier, these are guys you need to keep an eye on. They're going to be making electric plays. And I mean, we both know very well that they're going to be hearing their names called come next April too. So.
Yeah, I'm really excited for these group of five guys because I think there are a lot of guys that can break through. I agree for the most part with your rankings for the front runners out of the Power Five. I do think Sam Howell is higher because the hype is getting there. Like people like North Carolina. I think the thing that kind of catapulted him this year was that Miami game. Even though that wasn't most of his doing, that was Javonte Williams and Michael Carter running like as Nick Saban would say, poop through a tin horn on Miami. Like the touchdown pass. I think he was the first player in NCAA, first quarterback in either ACC history. I think it was ACC history to catch a touchdown, rush for a touchdown, receive a touchdown, or first quarterback at least to do that. But yeah, Sam Howell, the hype is there, and with Trevor Lawrence gone, there's a thought that maybe there's an opening for UNC to win the ACC. But going back to group of five guys, the guy that we both like, Malik Willis, and the guy that's garnering a lot of attention in NFL circles for good reason. We like him because Liberty, I mean, amazing year last year, 10-1. They were missed field goal against NC State, short of 11-0. This year has high hopes and really marquee games on the schedule. They have Ole Miss in the Hugh Freeze Bowl. They have Louisiana, who just popped up at 23 or no, 25, excuse me. No, actually, 23. 25 is Coastal, I believe. They just popped up at 23 in the coaches poll, and Army on Thanksgiving weekend. Which we have an interesting argument for the Army game coming up. But What do you think about Malik Willis's chances, Jackson, for making a Heisman run for Liberty?
So I'm gonna say this: Malik Willis could be a very efficient, very accurate, in his ball playing skills, and then be a great leader on the field. And those are all things that are reasons why he's gained a lot of NFL attention and a handful of some media attention. But he's gonna have to be, if he wants to make a run specifically at the Heisman, he's gonna have to be as explosive as he's been and a little bit more. He's going to have to find his way on Sports Center top 10 a few times and make some plays that you just look at and go like, wow. Like, he's just going to have several wow moments. And don't get me wrong, he's had some already. He's making some incredible throws across his body. He's got incredible short area bursts. And he has been accurate. He has been, he's been a good quarterback too. But maybe if he's trying to make a run specifically at the Heisman, maybe don't be the most efficient. Maybe just be a little bit more explosive like he has been, because he's not playing against top tier competition and he is top tier talent. So if he can go out there and run around like that one kid and Pop Warner and make some incredible plays, some Lamar Jackson like plays running ball. And then, he's got some tremendous accuracy and some great strength. Then if he can put those to use too, man, he can make a run at it for sure.
Yeah, I think you bring that up, electrifying plays and numbers too. But I just think I think that games as well, marquee matchups, and as I mentioned before, Ole Miss. Another factor that Ole Miss game could be a shootout real quick, because Matt Corral, one of the more underrated quarterbacks. I'm sure I know he cut you up in week one of SEC play. He cut up Florida pretty good, if I'm not mistaken. I wasn't sure the score of
Was
that
that
one,
the
but
one where Pitt scored like 6 touchdowns or something?
I think so. It was high scoring, but I'm pretty sure. I thought he dies to the defense.
He did get us pretty good. Yeah, he did get us pretty good there. Yeah.
Yeah. So Matt Corral's a real deal.
Talented. Is a little bit. You don't hear much about Matt Corral. It's been one of the more quiet ones, but he's, from everything I've read, a very gifted signal caller. Just been a great talent, and he's under Lane Kiffin, learning a lot. So yeah, I'm excited to see how he does too. Man, that place is going to be electric for Liberty Ole Miss. Who would have thought that like 5 years ago? But that place is going to be going off.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm excited for it already. Another game I'm excited for, obviously, Liberty Army on Black Friday, along with Liberty Louisiana. That last 3-game stretch for Liberty, huge implications possibly for the New Year's Six for Liberty, possibly even Louisiana as well. So an amazing 3-game stretch the nation should have their eyes on. But first, I'll talk a little bit about Louisiana before going to Army. With Louisiana, you have Levi Lewis. And I bring up Levi Lewis, not because of the numbers, but the man's a proven winner. 24-4 as a starter for the Raging Cajuns. This past year, the stats aren't really on his side. 2,274 yards in 11 games for the Cajuns, 19 passing touchdowns, over 300 rushing yards, and 5 touchdowns. But again, a winner. And again, we like I said before with games, he's got that week 1 game against Texas on Fox in the afternoon. Should be really. It's a made for TV game, and that could help his Heisman campaign if he has a big game or has a heroic comeback drive, or not comeback drive, but game-winning drive or something. So Levi Lewis, another guy to the group of 5 that I like. But finally, on the Army game, and this one could have huge implications for the Heisman. Not just for Malik Willis, but for Tyre Tyler, which is an interesting situation for Army. Tyre Tyler, the quarterback out of Army, who came on down the stretch. Army had quarterback troubles all season last year, playing with 6 guys taking snaps at quarterback. And now all 6 return, plus 1, Jabari Laws, who started games in 2018 and threw for over 200 yards against Air Force in 2019. He returns from a torn ACL that he had in 2020. But Tyre Tyler came on of late, and man, he took you back to 1934 with his stat lines. 35 carries for 121 yards against Georgia Southern, 26 carries for 96 yards in that Army-Navy game on CBS, at the first Army-Navy game at West Point since the 40s. And then the following week against Air Force, 16 carries, 62 yards, got injured in that game, got his game cut short. And then against Liberty, another sort of welcome, introduction to the country type game against West Virginia in the Liberty Bowl, 24 carries, 76 yards, 3 touchdowns in a defeat that's tough for me to talk about against West Virginia in the prestigious Liberty Bowl. But all that being said, Tyler had, sorry if I'm doing my math right here, he had 101 carries in pretty much 3.75 games. Passing the ball, I mean, could have done better, 2 for 4 in those games for 53 yards. But hey, efficient, explosive. I
know
say
that sounds like a Mac Jones stat line right there.
Oh my God, the Mac Jones jokes are back. The Mac Jones jokes are back, baby. But before we get too heated about Mac Jones, I say this because Tyler has a nose for the end zone, and he can really build up maybe a Keenan Reynolds type stat line, 20 plus rushing touchdowns for Army. And Army, again, we mentioned big games. They got Wisconsin October 16th. They go to Camp Randall against Wisconsin team that should be ranked at that point, even if they lose once. They have Wisconsin at Camp Randall. It's realistic to see Army at that point coming into that game with 1 loss to Wisconsin. If they beat Wisconsin, maybe even undefeated. But the situation there that kind of makes it complicated is the quarterback situation. I mean, again, the 5 guys with starts, are 6 guys on the roster with starts, a plethora of options to say the least. But do you think that on rushing numbers alone, Tyler can make a splash in the Heisman race, even with beating Wisconsin?
On rushing numbers alone, no. He's going to have to improve his passing. The good news is that that's not going to be hard to do because he's barely thrown the ball. Like we just haven't seen him throw. So for all we know, he could have an incredible arm on him too, and we just don't know it. Because we've only seen 4 attempts by him. And so it's going to be he's going to have to throw it a little bit more. I don't know how our Army's returning receivers are, if they're getting anyone back or if there's any chemistry on there. But he's going to a few things are going to have to happen. One, he's going to have to be on the field in order to do any of this. And it's going to be more challenging than it is for most other quarterbacks, considering there's like, what did you say, 5 other guys on the roster, 5 or 6 that have all played, by the way. So you've got that. And then you've also got that he just needs to improve his passing, and he needs to beat Wisconsin. Like, I don't think you have any shot if you don't beat Wisconsin, because you need a Heisman moment to make any sort of splash in the Heisman. And that's really his only opportunity to have a Heisman moment is versus Wisconsin. And it also, I hate to say it's not going to do him much good if Wisconsin is 7-5 come December. So kind of needs Wisconsin to have a decent year too, so that it looks like something. But I mean, obviously he's insanely talented running the ball, because everyone in the stadium, everyone in America knows that Army's running the ball, and he's still somehow found a way to be productive with it. So, I mean, clearly he's very talented at that. But just let's see a little bit more passing. Let's see a W versus Wisconsin. Hopefully, let's see Wisconsin have a good year too, where that's gonna pester the gosh, if only we hadn't lost to Army. Like, hopefully that's something we're saying in November. So
Yeah, I mean, and again, like the volume's there. I mean, like you said, everyone knows Army's running the football. Only 44 yards a game passing last year, 44.8 last year, which is just the way I like it, I must say, as an option fan. I would not have it any other way with those passing numbers. Love it. But and I mean, for all, I mean, I think the numbers might be enough, and like maybe here and there a long play action option pass here and there. I think that'll do. But yeah, like you said, I mean, that was everything hinges on that Wisconsin game, Heisman wise. Maybe Wake Forest.
We're gonna get off on our second tangent real quick, because I have a quick question for you. You watch more Army football than I do. How much do they utilize the play action pass? I don't really remember.
So,
because I feel like that would be insanely effective if they ever tried it, but I don't really recall like play action being a big chunk of their playbook.
Well, yeah, actually they use it. I mean, not really a chunk when it comes to passing. It's mostly dire situations, but they have the capabilities, especially now with a star slot pack that they have. Tyrell Robertson. He a yearling. For Army, or which is a sophomore for those of you that don't know. He's on the Paul Horning Award watch list. He's the not the returning leading receiver, but shoot, I don't have my
Good to
Phil
be an
Steele.
Army receiver and be on the Horning watch list.
But yeah, I mean, he's a slot back, returns kicks and punts, and had moments of electricity last year. Caught a really long touchdown pass against Mercer, I believe. Averaged 7 yards a carry, and you saw with Army, they found ways to get him the ball that they usually don't. They ran counters with him. So that's usually where the play action game runs through. So it usually be Tyler, but they also have they got big receivers that, I mean, you can just lob up a play action pass to. So it's not heavily used, but again, like the way Army is, the way the Army options run, like they don't really get themselves in holes much because, I mean, it's pretty much fullback where Navy likes to get the ball on the edges with the quarterbacks and the slot backs, which, I mean, it's a great strategy, and I'm not disrespecting Navy at all, but it requires someone like a Malcolm Perry, really a transcendent athlete like a Keenan Reynolds to run. When Army, like, all it takes is his defense to come up too much in the middle with the fullbacks, with like the 200, especially Jacoby Buchanan, 260-pound fullback. I mean, you run down the other team's throat. All it takes is a little quarterback counter. I mean, and you're gone. So, yeah, I know that's a bit of a long answer to that question, but
No,
yeah.
it's good. I would love to see Army kind of go into like, gosh, I don't know, like run more like 22 personnel stuff and do that. I don't know.
That's Air Force. Air Force does that, and I got mixed feelings about that. It works for them because they can recruit good tight ends like Garrett Griffin. I mean, you're a Saints fan. I mean, you know Garrett Griffin, Air Force product.
Yeah.
But that's not our game, and I don't want it to be our game.
Yeah, I mean, I would either do that or I'd go like I would have Tyler just study Lamar, just like go in, hey, let's pop in some Ravens film and just watch that offense, because that would be something else, because they're a run predominant offense. They don't have the best receivers, or at least they didn't last year. Stuff like that. I think that'd be great. But anyways, we're getting sidetracked. So moving on, who's your next group of 5 guy that you would really love to see?
So a guy I absolutely love, a guy we were talking about before this at Hawaii, Calvin Turner, who does everything, and he's a great story. If you don't know Calvin Turner, shame on you. You should. His coming out party was pretty much the New Mexico Bowl in Frisco, Texas last year, against Houston, where he did everything. Had 12 carries for 60 yards, 4 catches for 88 yards, and a 75-yard touchdown. Returned a kick for a touchdown. Did everything, plays quarterback, runs wildcat. He had 60 carries for 331 yards and 4 touchdowns, had 6 receiving touchdowns of 500 yards and over 300 kick return yards. He does everything. And it's like, it's really, he's a fun guy. Like Jackson's going to see that me for mentioning this, but for me, he's kind of like a Peter Warwick type guy, a guy that, excites, that does everything. And because he does everything so well, I mean, it excites people, especially throwing. Like, people love a receiver who can throw. I mean, former option quarterback at Jacksonville before they shut down their program, which, I mean, ironically might have been the best thing to happen to him because he's at Hawaii now. I like him in Hawaii, but the one caveat is it's hard for Hawaii to contend in the Mountain West because Boise State in most years, that's their conference. It might be a bit easier this year, but the big dog, I think, is Nevada and Carson Strong, which in some circles might be that guy for Heisman candidacy, but I'm going with Calvin Turner out of the Mountain West. Week 0, will be a big game for him because he's going up against UCLA, DTR, national televised game against an improving UCLA program at the Rose Bowl. I mean, if he shows out there and does everything, I think the Calvin Turner for Heisman train will be rolling because Hawaii throws the ball a pretty solid amount. And they'll be running him on second and shorts and stuff. So he'll be getting his rushing touchdowns. So Calvin Turner, we could have back-to-back receivers in the thick of the Heisman race for back-to-back years. Amazing.
I think if any receiver is winning it this year, it's going to be either Chris Olive or Jacob Copeland, one of those 2 guys. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big Calvin Turner fan. I'd love to see him do some maybe Julian Edelman type stuff where he's throwing the ball too. That'd be a lot of fun to watch. And hey, he's so good at everything else. Put him on special teams to block a couple punts, something like that when he's not returning them. So that'd be fun too. Kind of be the Taysom Hill of college football. And more than anything, we need to convince these media members to stay up for Hawaii football because they're probably already in bed. So
Even without Kikal, even without Robert Kikal, rest in peace.
Yes, rest in peace. Yeah, watching Hawaii games won't be the same without him for sure. But hey, we'll still enjoy it. We'll still enjoy some late night football. I mean, don't be a loser and watch Saturday Night Live. Like, just stay up until for 11 p.m. kickoff and for Hawaii football. I mean, what are you doing with your life, man? So.
Wow. Hey, I am Jackson. You better not say anything bad about Notre Dame because I don't want the NBC folks coming after us.
Well, I'll just mute myself.
Or Peacock. Don't make fun of Peacock more on here.
Okay. Hey, I actually, if you don't subscribe to Peacock already, do it now because they have Office extended cuts of The Office. And I've thoroughly enjoyed those. They're very
Man, I
good.
thought you were going to talk about Notre Dame Toledo, man. I thought you were going to talk about Notre Dame Toledo.
I will say the extended cuts of The Office are the only thing I'll be watching on Peacock. So there's my sub at Notre Dame.
All right. Well, Jackson, like who are some of your guys? I had a couple more. I want to hear about your guys that you have in the thick of the Heisman race from the group of 5.
Yeah, I don't know how we've gone this far without talking about Grayson McCall. I mean, he had a phenomenal year with Coastal Carolina last year. Coastal Carolina's success, go back and watch it. It was because of Grayson McCall. I mean, he just played insane. And yes, you can always make the argument that it wasn't against the best competition, but man, he was something else. And he outdueled Zach Wilson head to head. I'm sure we all remember that game, and he did plenty of everything else too. So you tell me, you watched Grayson McCall live versus Liberty in their bowl game. What do you think of him then?
I loved him, and again, like I love Coastal Carolina's offense because it is a triple option spread. When I think about my favorite offenses, of course, Army, Navy, Air Force, but the teams that implement a shotgun spread offense or shotgun triple option, like the Tulane, which I mean that's a guy that I'll talk about a guy from Tulane later on in our list, but I think McCall is great, efficient passer, doesn't make many mistakes, 26-3 touchdown to interception ratio, almost 600 rushing yards. And he's got weapons too, returning. Like he's got Javon Hiley, 998 yards, 10 touchdowns. He's got Isaiah Likely, All-American tight end out of Coastal Carolina. Who would have thought? I don't know if he was consensus, but All-American tight end. The one thing that hurts McCall, he can have all the numbers in the world, but the thing that hurts him is the matchups, like non-conference and in conference, because they dodge Louisiana in conference. App State could be a marquee game, but we don't know. I think App State's nearing 9-3. They're a team with a 9-3, 10-2 ceiling, not exactly in the thick of the New Year's 6 race. Power 5 opponents. He's got Kansas against Kansas at home on a Friday night though, which is cool. Could be an electric setting that I might be at. But it's just not the type of thing that's like, it's not the magnitude of Levi Lewis against Louisiana, Tyre Tyler against Wisconsin, Malik Willis outdueling Matt Corral. Ole Miss on a whole isn't great, but they have Matt Corral. That's the one thing that hurts him. But I love McCall, and on the pro side, I'm pretty sure the pro scouts like Jackson or like Grayson McCall. I'm not too sure about that. Maybe you can divulge more, Jackson.
Sorry, you were breaking up right at the end there with Grayson. What about Grayson McCall?
I was saying, I'm not sure what the pro scouts say about McCall. I'm sure you can divulge more into that.
Yeah. So there's not too much on McCall yet. I think we'll definitely see his name a lot more. But man, he has some great. Just from what I've watched, he has some incredible deep ball accuracy. Like that's his main feature. And as we're moving more and more to spreading the ball out, and well, actually, I mean, you can make the arguments for both, but his deep ball accuracy is insane. He can make some athletic plays too. So it's a skill set that not too many guys have, and that if you can throw it deep, kind of like Kyler Murray can throw it like insanely deep, insanely accurately. If he can have something like that going for him, man, the sky's the limit with him. But yeah, there's not too much NFL wise from him there. I will say, if there's ever an argument for needing two TVs, I will present you with that one. I think it was like a Friday or Saturday night, and it was the bowl game of Liberty versus Coastal Carolina. A very dramatic ending there. Simultaneously, there was Miami at Las Vegas with the no look pass Fitz magic play. And they were happening literally at the same time. And I mean, if you ever have an argument for needing two TVs, I mean, it was everything in the world was going on then. It was crazy. So think back to that, especially if you're a pro and college fan like myself.
Well, I mean, shoot, now it's time for me to have a rant. That was a great play and all with Fitzmagic, but every single year the NFL has to do their bull crap Saturday games during bowl season, and it aggravates me, man. Like you're talking, I want to watch a random NFL regular season game over a bowl game. Like it's offensive. I'm offended by it, honestly.
Well, see, here's the thing, and now it's like, yeah, I know, I agree with you. It's very frustrating, and it's like I'm in one of two moods at all times. I'm either in the mood for college football or I'm in the mood for the NFL. I can't really mix them. It's usually when I was a kid, it was like late Saturday night, I'd make that switch where I was looking forward to the NFL. Now it's like sometimes it takes a little bit into Sunday morning that I like switch, like, gosh, so what a great game last night. And it takes me a little while to switch. And then I can't, like, it's hard to watch both. Like, it's hard to be excited for both because there's different things to appreciate about both leagues. So it's like it's difficult. So I hated that the NFL puts their Saturday games, but for the handful of people out there that are exclusively NFL fans, not really into college football, one, I don't know what they do during draft season, but two, I guess they have to throw a few bones for them too. Plus, it's, ideally down the road, NFL Network continues to expand their college football coverage. They're getting a handful of college football games this year. Solves the issue. We don't have any Saturday NFL games, but what can I say?
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point. I mean, yeah, like and it is NFL. NFL will always be a rating draw compared to a second rate college bowl game. I mean, because they had the triple header, and really, I guess UTSA and Louisiana. I mean, that game doesn't really compete with whatever game they had. I think that was the Niners. I think that might have been my Niners and Cardinals game in the afternoon. And then at night, Dolphins, Raiders.
Oh, yeah, the one that was on Amazon Prime, right? I remember that one.
Yeah. Yeah, don't rub it in. Don't rub it in that we got primed. that was embarrassing, but at least we won. At least CJ Beathard led us to victory.
Hey, very true. Yeah, no, it's so weird that this is the last year of Thursday Night Football on cable TV. It's going to be exclusively on Amazon Prime starting 2020.
That's Bush League. That's Bush League. I mean, I know the way to put it. It's a future, but it's Bush League.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a fan of that, but I don't see why you can't simulcast them. Like I don't understand what
exactly. No, hey, you see, it makes too much sense, Jackson. It makes too much sense. That's why they're not doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So yeah. Well, man, have you got anyone else that's on your list that you wanna
I guess we say the best for last. I mean, the king of the group of five. Man, Boise State, Coastal Carolina, Louisiana fans might argue with me on this one, but the American is the undisputed king of the group of five until someone else goes to a New Year's Six bowl. I mean, I hate to say it, but there's three.
Golly, going for it.
I'm sorry. It's just a fact. It's just facts. It's just facts. But they're the big three out of that conference. I mean, you got Dylan Gabriel, a man who puts up insane numbers for UCF. Like that year alone in 10 games had 3,570 yards, 357 yards a game, 32 touchdowns in only 10 games. And he's got some marquee games. I mean, maybe not out of conference. I mean, Boise State should be a good game because Boise State's got a brand, but it'll be in the backdrop of everything else happening in week 1. But that Cincinnati game on October 16th, you got Gabriel versus Desmond Ritter, and Cincinnati. Cincinnati ranked number 10 in the coaches poll and hoping to break the playoff. Which, I mean, if they beat Notre Dame and Indiana, I don't think you can leave them out of the playoff realistically. But we'll see. Like, I think out of all these guys, I guess you can say we're saving the best for last because with Ritter. Cincinnati goes 12-0. I think he ends up in New York because he had 12 rushing touchdowns and 19 passing touchdowns in 10 games. Dual threat draft. I'm pretty sure draft folks love Desmond Ritter too for his size and mobility. If I'm not mistaken, but I think Ritter and Willis out of all of our guys might have the best shot. I think of breaking the Heisman race out of the group of 5. And last guy, I said the big 3, the last guy to the American, and I love the nerd schools. So maybe I'm a bit biased, but Michael Pratt out of Tulane. I sent you that video with Michael Pratt tossing balls with Jalen Waddle. He brings a different dimension to that Tulane offense because in 2016, that Tulane offense was dedicated to the shotgun option. They looked like Georgia Southern, the Georgia Southern team that Willie Fritz coached the year before. They averaged only 113 passing yards. Lo and behold, you fast forward to 2020, Michael Pratt had 20 passing touchdowns, which I think was the most that any Tulane's quarterback had in the Fritz era. And he runs the ball super well. He had I'm trying to find it here if it says it. I think he had 7 rushing touchdowns and over 200 rushing yards for the Green Wave. And they have that week 1 game against Spencer Rattler in Oklahoma at home. So I mean that's one of those weird games. You're like, it's interesting how it got scheduled, how Tulane was able to get Oklahoma to come to New Orleans, which I actually, maybe it's not hard to imagine because it's the Big Easy, but it's Tulane. I mean, kudos to their athletic department. That's a game to watch week 1. I think it's noon on ABC. So if you're not watching Big Noon Kickoff, which I don't even know what the Big Noon Kickoff game is, I mean, I think it's some random Big Ten game.
Big Noon Kickoff.
Not me. Only reason to watch it is for Gus. It's for Gus Johnson. Only reason you watch it. But
hey, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see Michael Pratt. He's been doing some cool stuff, and yeah, I'm very interested to see what Tulane looks like this year. That'll be great.
I think they break the hump in the West because if you look at the West, actually no, shoot, there's not divisions anymore. But in the American, thanks UConn. But if you look at it, Memphis looks to be on the down low because Brady White, he's leaving after spending a million years in college. A great quarterback, but the man was around forever. I'm pretty sure he was pursuing his doctorates in college. That's how long Brady White was there. So he's out. Tulsa loses Zaven Collins, speed racer Zaven Collins. Sorry, I'm sorry. I had to throw in the joke. I had to throw in the speed racer joke. Please don't hurt me, Zaven Collins. I'm sorry, but I mean, the door's open. I mean, it's realistic that. I'm sorry, man. You were thinking it too.
You really went for it, didn't you?
You were thinking it. I mentioned Zaven Collins, and you probably thought of it too.
Reckless driving did pop into my head. Yes.
See, exactly. So I mean, I think this is Tulane's chance for a breakthrough, and they do have Cincinnati and they have UCF, but I mean, it's easy to imagine Tulane beating UCF. I think. I mean, but we'll see. So that rounds out my list of a group of 5 guys to watch in the Heisman race.
Yeah, man, that's my list. And yeah, I would love to. I think we covered pretty much everyone in the group of 5 that has a decent shot at Heisman contention. I will say, if you've listened to this podcast for long enough, you know I'm a big fan of Move the Sticks. Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks, what they do over there at NFL Media. A few weeks ago, just a couple weeks ago, they did a deep dive into Sam Howell, Spencer Rattler, and Malik Willis on their podcast. Just kind of a preview for the 2022 draft. And I learned a lot from that one. That was really good. Episode 696 of Move the Sticks. If you're interested in learning more about Howe, Willis, and Rattler. So just something to throw out there. They got a little bit of a chance to talk more in depth than we did today. So, and it is definitely, being an NFL podcast, definitely more from a draft and scouting perspective. But all of what you learned there should apply to the Heisman at least. So, in an ideal world, it should go off of merit, not hype. So, but yeah, man, I'm excited, man. It's right around the corner, man. We're approaching mid-August, or we're in mid-August, and we're kicking off college football here. It's not long.
Yeah, I mean, these years, as tumultuous 2020, as tumultuous 2020 was, as tumultuous 2021 is at the moment, it's a weird feeling, these years going by fast. Like, we're already in August. I mean, it's just strange. But
Yeah.
hopefully college football can bring healing this fall. And with the super seniors and everything, this should be a very well played, interesting year. I'm excited.
Spotify should also give us an award for being like the only podcast this month to not mention the word vaccine too. So I think that's pretty
You
impressive.
ruined it.
You're right. I ruined it. But, so yeah, man. Well, I'm good. I'm fixing to go watch Hard Knocks, but you probably need a rest after a long day of lawn mowing.
Not today. Not today. Today was not lawn mowing, but
Oh, really? What was it? What the Army
was
have you do with your top tier
it was
education?
instead lugging weights for lugging weights back and forth for the Army, setting up the Army combat fitness test for one of the platoons. So
That sounds
that's
like
what we'll be
one
doing
of the
tomorrow morning.
most. That sounds one of the most like private or specialist jobs that you could possibly have. So why the Army is wasting your valuable 5 years on that, I do not know. But
I'm still getting paid, and it's not
yeah,
hard. It's not
hey,
hard stuff.
man, that's the important thing. I'm happy for you, man, because those are the jobs I would like dream about getting when I was up there. But like it's just like, why? Like, why you pay all this money for me to go to school and then you have me do this? So yeah, but
Yep.
hey, all those lessons are paying off when you're moving weight from one place to another. So
Yep. I mean, wouldn't have it any other way.
yeah,
It's just
right.
time ticking off the clock. It's just time ticking off the
Yeah.
clock. Oh shoot, I shouldn't say that. I mean, yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
I
wow,
shouldn't
they're
talk
gonna
about.
come for you now.
No,
So
I shouldn't talk about. Leaving my obligation so soon, or right when it ends. I'll see it through. How about
quickly
that? I'll
changing
see
the
it through.
subject. One final thing. You're putting money on it. Who are you putting your money on to win the Heisman this year?
I love Sam Howell, man. Sam Howell, I think like the perfect mixture of like North Carolina, like being in the national title race, and like that kind of surprise, like it's North Carolina in the national title race. I think that'll get them through. I think North Carolina can have some big wins, and I think this year's the year they break the hump in the ACC. And if not that, they go 11-1 or 12-1, go to the New Year's Six, or um, and Howell puts up numbers. So I got Sam Howell, honestly, and I kind of think that Heisman voters are kind of tired of Oklahoma quarterbacks, and that's not Spencer Rattler's fault, of course. And it kind of sucks that I'm saying that, but I just got to think that they're tired of Oklahoma quarterbacks, honestly.
A lot of the hype of Spencer Rattler, if I remember correctly, came after the Florida win too. So, and that is not something that's pre Heisman voting. So I don't know. Maybe he peaked at like exactly the wrong time, like just a month after voting. But I don't know. Um, I think I'm putting my money on Bryce Young to win it. Um, I'm very biased, but I wouldn't be shocked if Emory Jones won it. If he can somehow find a way to go at least 1-1 against Bama, and if he has a great year, I mean he's been sitting on the bench for so long as Dan Mullen's been there. He's been there for a long time. If he can find a way to just go off, then I mean he could be Trask with a good pair of legs too. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm putting my money on Bryce Young for now. So
That's fair. I mean, we'll see for sure. Should be fun. Heisman race is always fun to follow. And yeah, like I can't wait 18 days till Division 1. There's an NAIA game on August 26th that we might cover. I mean, but yeah, until
Probably.
Division 1. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Although we might make the announcement later this month that we're gonna stop talking D1 completely and go full on to D3 so that we can be D3 material. So, hey man, come to Northwest Valley, Norfolk, Tech State. Jackson and Omar ranked us as like the third best factory group. So yeah, maybe we'll do that. Who knows? But yeah, man, I'm good if you are. And man, we're gonna be so wrong come December. So this is
Yep.
college football is gonna be completely different, probably. That's how it is every year. So yeah,
Yep.
well, enjoy, and I will talk to you later for sure.
Yeah. We'll talk later, and peace, love, and
Sounds
soul,
good.
everyone.
Probably right after this, 1980.